Welcome back, people, and because it's early 2025, Christmas is gone now, New Year's is done, and I know for a fact a lot of money has been spent. So in this video, I'm going to give you 10 dupe fragrances or clone fragrances in my collection that are 100% worth picking up. Yes, people, what is going on YouTube, and welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name's TJ, and over here on my channel, I discuss all things fragrances and the fragrance industry. So if there's any content you would like for me to create, let me know down in the comments. And before we get into the video, let's just quickly discuss what a dupe or a clone fragrance is. So for anyone new, it is this simple. It is essentially just a copy of another fragrance. That is it. So normally it's a well-performing fragrance or something that's really popular. So I'm sure you guys would have 100% smelt something like Baccarat Rouge. Maybe it was the original, maybe it was a dupe, who knows? There's loads of dupes out on the market of Ombre Nomad, which is very popular, and Creed Aventus. So dupe fragrances are normally clones of very popular or very mass appealing fragrances that loads of people want to get their hands on, but they haven't got the money to do so. So what I've done for this video is I've gone through my collection and picked 10 dupe fragrances that are 100% worth the money. And I'll keep it real. I haven't got loads of dupes in my collection. I've probably got about 25, 30-ish, and I do have loads more scattered in boxes over here, but I haven't opened them or tested them yet, so they might be good, but they're not going to make the list. And the last thing before we start the video is this year, in 2025, I've said I want to dive into more affordable fragrances as well, so any dupe houses, any Middle Eastern, Arabian fragrance houses that do good stuff, let me know. And in particular, let me know which fragrances I need to try, and I'll 100% get my nose on them. But listen, only the good ones. So I wanted to kick the list off with something that's a little bit different, because this one in my hand is a dupe fragrance, but there's an added twist because it is also a water-based fragrance as well. This one is from Nassim Perfumes, and it is called French Vanilla. And this house here, Nassim, they essentially make non-alcohol based fragrances. Everything is pretty much water-based. And I'd seen loads of people talking about this brand online before I went to Beauty World. So when I went there, I obviously had to connect with the team. Then they sent me out a little care package with a few fragrances in there. And I didn't rate, I would say 2 out of the 3 that I got. I rated 1 and I've done a video on that. And then I went online and I saw Aromatics, which is basically the king of, I'll say, dupe fragrances, clone fragrances, or the Middle Eastern fragrance brands. And I saw him talking about this one here, and I was like, bruv, like, this one sounds proper sick. Why didn't they send that to me? And then the next day, this was on my doorstep. And me personally, I started looking into non-alcohol based fragrances after I come back from holiday and got the rash. But you guys already know the story, so I won't bore you with that. But this here is a dupe of this fragrance here, which I'm sure you guys have seen a million times. It is from Jean Paul Gaultier, and it is Le Male Elixir. And the DNA of both of these fragrances is pretty much identical. You're going to get a heavy dose of vanilla in there. You get some spices. There's lavender in there as well that gives the fragrance a little bit of freshness to it. In this, you do pick up a little bit more sweetness, because I think there is honey in this fragrance, and I don't pick up as much sweetness in this. But other than that, these are bang on. And look, when it comes to fragrances, it's the alcohol in them that bind everything together and make the fragrance perform and last for how long it does. It's all of those chemicals in there. Whereas this doesn't have alcohol, I was a little bit skeptical on how long this is going to last. So when Nassim hit me up, I was like, look, I'm only going to work with a water-based brand if the fragrances last over 5 hours, because that is what I would want in a perfume. I wouldn't wear anything that lasts 4 hours or less, to be honest. I wouldn't want to talk about that to you guys. And this one I was gassed with, because when I first put this on skin, this lasted me 7 to 8 hours. And when I done a review on this fragrance, I was mad, because what happened is I recorded the video, sprayed this on myself, and I went outside to my car. And then I ended up bumping into my boy. And as soon as I bumped into him, he was like, hey, bro, what is that? Like, you smell good. And I was like, bro, why couldn't I bump into man before? Because then I could have done the video and say, hey, this one guaranteed compliment getter. Even though people wouldn't have believed it, but it's still the facts. And one thing I bet you guys didn't know, when it comes to water-based perfumes, you have to give them a good shake before use, like a smoothie. So man, I know you'll be good at it, but essentially, I'll give you a demonstration. You have to do this. Mental. If you look in the air, crazy. But that's what you have to do, and then you can spray them. And I did mention at the beginning that Creed Aventus is one of the most popular fragrances that has been duped or cloned. This has been happening for years now, and the next one I've got is similar but not the same. The next dupe fragrance I've got is actually of this one here. This is Creed Absolute Aventus. And just comparing this one to the OG Creed Aventus, for me, this one smells a little bit more mature. The spices and the woodiness in this fragrance is more prominent over the OG. And definitely, without a doubt, this one lasts longer. But you guys came here because you want to see the best dupe for these fragrances. And the best dupe, without a doubt, hands down, is Afnan Supremacy Collector's Edition. And before I talk about this one a little bit more, I do have to give an honourable shout out to Armaf's Club de Nuit Precious or Prosciutto, which I don't think is an outright dupe of Creed's Absolute Aventus, but it does smell very similar. And I would actually say that Armaf's one is a little bit more smoother than Afnan's one, but overall this one is the winner when it comes to dupe in Absolute Aventus, just because of the price and the performance. And yeah, to me, this one smells pretty much bang on. The way this smells in the air is just incredible. And without a doubt, 100%, this is going to secure you compliments. And in terms of smell, I know everybody's going to love the Absolute Aventus, but what is off-putting again is the price. When they released this, this is £320 when it first come out. It might be even a little bit more now. And people haven't really got that kind of bread to be buying fragrances for £320. There's other stuff more important in life. But when a company comes out and releases a fragrance that smells almost identical to it, and I think you can pick this one up for like 60 quid, it's just mad. And just to let you guys know, some of these fragrances on this list you can get from DXB Perfumes, which I'm an ambassador for. So if any of you guys want to get fragrances like this or a couple others in this video, you can go on their website and use my code TJ15 for 15% off. And let's keep it transparent, I do earn commission. But yeah, man, this one you won't be disappointed with. And if you don't believe me, just search it online, check other people's reviews, and they say the same. And the next fragrance I actually spoke about in a video that I dropped maybe a couple weeks ago now, which was my 6 fragrances that I picked up from Afnan. So if you want to hear more in detail about this one, just go and watch that video right up there. But this is from Zamaya, and this fragrance here is called Tiramisu Coco. I'm sure some of you guys know this already, but this fragrance here is a dupe of Mancera's Amor Cafe, which I think is the #1 from Mancera. And I think this one retails for £140 or £150. And this one, Tiramisu Coco, retails for £35, and even cheaper if you use my discount TJ15. So in terms of these fragrances, after the first 10 minutes, I would say they're pretty much identical. You're not really going to tell much of a difference at all. The only difference is in the opening, this is obviously a boozy and coffee, sweet, syrupy, pancake-like fragrance. And this, to me, in the opening, it just smells a little bit more powdery and almost like hot chocolate when you open the tub. But that's not really a problem for me, because all you got to do is spray this 10 minutes before you leave the house. And then when you go out, nobody's going to be able to tell the difference, you absolute fraud. But yeah, in terms of performance and whatnot, I've sprayed this on my t-shirts, my jumpers, my hoodies, and I'm coming back to them the next day and it's still smelling like that. So there's no problem at all. And in terms of how long this fragrance is going to last you on skin or your clothes, I'm going to say minimum 7 hours. 7 to 8 hours really. Now the next one is one fragrance that I've always kind of described as being one of the most unique fragrances that I've ever put my nose on. And me saying that, some of my hardcore followers, you're gonna know which one I'm talking about. But this is from Maison Crivelli, and this fragrance is Hibiscus Mahajad. But what I've got in my hand here smells very similar to it. And if you guys know me here in the UK, you of course 100% know Erda Ragnar, which he started out as a content creator. He still creates content, but he's gone more down the business route and he manufactures fragrances. And this is one of his. This is a dupe of Maison Crivelli's Hibiscus Mahajad, and this one is called One Love. And you guys might have heard of the fragrance called Hibiscus Magic, which is probably one of the first dupes that come out of Hibiscus Mahajad. And I'll say if you got that one, you don't need this one. But if you haven't got it and you're kind of weighing up your options and you want this fragrance, but you don't want to spend £250 on Hibiscus Mahajad, I would genuinely say go for this one. And I'm actually not saying that because he's my boy. And I don't know about you lot, but when I wear dupe or clone fragrances, I do not care. I'll spray 20, 30, 40 if I want to, just because I know the price is cheap and I can cop it again if I want to. But I will not do that with my niche or designer fragrances, because I'm like, am I really gonna buy another like Oud Satin Mood for £300? I'm probably not. But with this, I'll spray loads, because I'm not actually sure how much this costs, but I think it's like $39.99. And for me, the scent profile is incredible, just like in the OG. And I've always said that Hibiscus Mahajad is a very hard fragrance for me to describe, because obviously in the name you've got hibiscus, but I would say a lot of people don't know what hibiscus actually smells like or tastes like. And maybe you guys do, but I actually don't. So I've never had hibiscus in my life, I don't think. But to me, it's a creamy floral fragrance. You've got vanilla in there as well. You do have a heavy dose of rose, and I think in One Love, there's more rose than in the OG, but it's not a problem at all. And when you put your nose to a fragrance like Hibiscus Mahajad, it smells so thick and dense, and yeah, man, the performance matches. And in my opinion, the OG is a 10 out of 10. This scent profile is a 10 out of 10 as well. And this is not a fragrance you'll see a lot of people, or normal people, not the fragrance heads because they know about this one, but normal people, you're not going to find people smelling like this on the street. And I guarantee if you wear either of these two fragrances, wear it at work, yeah, and you'll get compliments. And possibly the best dupe or fragrance house right now, it has to be Fragrance World or French Avenue. See, I just got confused there. I don't know the difference. I think Fragrance World is the company's name and then French Avenue is the fragrance line. But really, who gives a damn? This fragrance that is making a list, it is called Saffron Elixir. And of course, when I went to Beauty World, I had to stop by their booth just because I needed to see what they're coming out with, because the stuff that they've brought out already is absolutely crazy. So they had a whole line of Matière Première fragrance. They had Falcon Leather, they had Enson Suave, which was sick. But the one that I really recommend from them, apart from this, is Radical Rose. That one that they've got is fire, so I need to get my hands on that. But this one, if you don't know, Saffron Elixir is a dupe of this one right here, Crystal Saffron by Matière Première. And if I'm being super nitpicky here, the only things that I can say is different in Saffron Elixir to Crystal Saffron is this one is heavier on the musk, which again, super nitpicky. And this one doesn't last as long as Crystal Saffron EDP. And one thing I forgot to mention at the beginning is when it comes to dupe or clone fragrances, for me, I can only speak for myself, I will not recommend them to you guys or create content on them if I haven't rigorously, and that's the key word, rigorously tested the original, or I have the original in my collection. And I know that's not the case for everyone, because someone might try one fragrance once and not even remember how it smells, then they'll buy the dupe and explain that. But people want to know when it comes to dupes, does it smell bang onto the original or not? And I pretty much fall in love with the original fragrance first, and then I try the dupe after. So this is what's happened with Crystal Saffron. So last year I put my nose in this, found this, and I love it. And then now I found a dupe. And for me, it's pretty hard for me to just say, buy the dupe, you don't need this, because I would still recommend this to people. The only way I'm going to say buy the dupe is if it comes down to price. If that is the only factor, you just want something that smells like it for cheap, then go for this. But without a doubt, I still recommend the original. And a disclaimer, Crystal Saffron is not for everyone, because this fragrance does get a lot of hate. People say it smells like burning plastic and whatnot. And to me, I would kind of more so describe it as smelling a little bit rubbery, and it's got saffron in there, which has a nice little bit of spice and a floral touch to it. And I actually really like it. This is in like my top 10 of all time. So yeah, the OG Crystal Saffron I highly recommend. But if you want to smell exactly like this and last just a couple days longer, go for Crystal Saffron X Straight. And if it comes down to budget, like I've said, and you want to smell like either of these two fragrances, but for a fraction of the price, then go for Saffron Elixir. And moving on from one French avenue to the next, then you can feel free to skip this one, because every man, woman, dog, child has spoken about this fragrance on social media lately. It is, of course, Liquid Brun. And of course, this fragrance is a dupe of Parfums de Marly Altair. And if you haven't tried this, it is a gourmand fragrance. It is a vanilla fragrance, but it's not super sweet. And there is some kind of freshness in there, which I like. And then you get some tonka bean in the base and cardamom as well. And I think the reason that most people are talking about Liquid Brun is because it is a very mass appealing fragrance. And because it's not a heavy sweet scent, I feel like it's one that you can get away with all year round. You can wear it winter, you can wear it summer. It's going to do fine. It's going to get you compliments. And yeah, there's a reason. When everyone speaks about something, sometimes it can be down to hype, but for this one, I think there's a genuine reason. And with the last fragrance, I said I wouldn't really recommend the dupe over the original, but I think in this case, it is valid. I would say do not even bother buying Parfums de Marly Altair and just get Liquid Brun instead, because scent profile, exactly the same. And when it comes to performance, I would say Altair lasts a little bit longer, but I don't think people are going to give a damn. Like in terms of projection, they're pretty much the same. And 1 to 2 hours lasting longer, does it equate to an extra £200? I don't think so. And you guys, give me your take on dupe fragrances. What do you think of them? Are you for them? Are you against? Because it's a little bit of a touchy subject. Some people just stay away from them. No, you're disrespecting art, blah, blah, blah. And I hear it. I do hear the argument. But again, it all comes down to money, man. Cost of living is crazy right now. So let me know your thoughts. Now, I promise you guys, we are done with the Fragrance World clones right now. But I know this is one that loads of people might ask me about in the comments. So I thought, let me mention it. This is a Azor Oud, and this is a dupe of Maison Crivelli's Oud Maracuja, which was one of the most popular fragrances of last year, maybe even rated the best niche fragrance of 2024. And I do think this is a nice dupe, and I would recommend it, but what I'm about to show you is better. But before we get onto that one, I'm going to show you another dupe of Maison Crivelli's Oud Maracuja, which is from Zamaya, and this one here is called Itcan or Itcan. I'm not sure how to say it still, so someone let me know. And this one is very, very strong. If you want a straight up beast mode, then this is cool. But I think the next one's still better. So the one that blows these two fragrances out of the water is from Armaf. And this one here is called Club de Nuit Oud. Now, I don't think this is an outright dupe to Oud Maracuja, but I think they definitely took inspiration from it just because of the timing on when this one came out. This one came out when Oud Maracuja was gaining hella traction last year. And if you're looking for a fruity, vibrant, tropical oud fragrance, then I think this is the one. And with this one, I need to start off with performance, because the other day I recorded this content for TikTok. So if you don't follow me on there, make sure you do. It's at TJ Talk Sense. But I was recording a video, and while I was in my room, I sprayed this and then I stood up. So it's obviously gone onto my t-shirt. Then I put it in the other room, and then my missus has come in there the next day and she's like, what did you just spray? And I'm like, oh, I sprayed Bianco Latte. And she's like, okay, like I know what Bianco Latte smells like and it's not that. So I'm thinking, what did I actually spray? And then I went in there, the t-shirt was hanging over the little clothes rail, and I smelled it and I was like, you know what? That's Club de Nuit Oud from yesterday. So straight away from then I was like, okay, cool. Club de Nuit Oud is serious. The longevity on this thing is 10 hours and it's probably closer to 12 to 14. So if you want that fruity tropical DNA that's gonna last a very long time, this is a banger. And I did just mention a second ago Bianco Latte, and I think this brings me nicely onto a dupe of this fragrance, and I haven't got the bottle with me right now, but it's Coco Caramel. Now the bottle of it is in the car and I couldn't be asked to go there. I'm feeling a little bit ill today and I thought I still need to get this video done, but I couldn't be asked to go in the cold. It's almost even snowing here, but if you want to know what it looks like, I'll overlay it. But essentially it is like the twin sister to this fragrance here, just with a pinkish whitish bottle. And I know we've had a lot of vanilla fragrances on this list. We've had the Saffron Elixir dupe, we've had what we've got now, Coco Caramel, we've had the Amore Cafe dupe, and we have had the liquid Brun dupe. And in my opinion, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like these fragrances are not super hard to dupe just because the scent profile is pretty linear. From when you spray it on at the beginning till you rub it off your skin or wash in the evening, the scent profile doesn't change that much. And if you've tried Bianco Latte, this is just a pure vanilla caramel fragrance. To all of my Caribbeans out there, this is essentially like cocoa butter, but it's not overly sweet either. And I've said this before when it comes to Bianco Latte, but this is 100 ml and it costs just over £100. I think it's 110 and I think it's 100% worth it. So I would say go for the original only for when it comes to performance, because with this you'll get 12 plus hours. With Coco Caramel you'll get around 8, but if you don't really care, Coco Caramel will do the job for 35 quid. And the second to last fragrance that I don't see a lot of people talking about, this one is a dupe of Ganymede by Marc Antoine Barra, and it is called Stallion by Zamaya. And the actual original Ganymede is one of those love me hate me kind of fragrances to people. It's like Marmite. I've seen people online talking slander about this thing and I'm like, bro, if I grab you through the screen now, it's all over. But to me, this is a beautiful fragrance, man. It's one that I really enjoy. But again, take it with a pinch of salt, because the way I'm going to explain this fragrance, it still probably doesn't tell you how this actually smells. So what you're going to pick up when you smell this fragrance is, it's always described as a kind of metallic or mineralic, if that's a word, mineralic, or a mineral type fragrance, should we say. You're going to pick up saffron in the opening. You're going to pick up some citrus. But I think what's not really spoken about too much when it comes to Ganymede or this fragrance is the introduction or inclusion. I'm saying big words today, you know, I'm proud of myself. The introduction or inclusion of immortal flower and, what is the other thing I was thinking of? Immortal flower and osmanthus. Flipping hell. It's hard to remember all of these fragrances in my collection, man, so I'm sorry, but osmanthus and immortal flower, because I think the osmanthus gives it a kind of creamy kind of feel, almost smells similar to apricots, and I think that's why they don't really need to put vanilla in this fragrance. It's like a vanilla substitute. And then immortal flower in here paired with the suede in the fragrance, I'm pretty sure suede and akigala wood, gives it an almost smooth leathery vibe with a touch of kind of rugged, manly masculineness. Now I might be on one with what I was just saying, but I need to hear the replay back, but I think I explained it well. So yeah, man, I'm personally a fan of this fragrance, and I've actually seen this going online, so have a look on Latino and All Beauty, because last year I think the cheapest I saw this fragrance go down to was like 13 or 14 pound, which was insane. So if you see it at that price or anything under 30 quid, I would say 100% cop. And I know there's a couple different ways to explain a niche fragrance. We can say companies who just make fragrances is a niche house, but when it comes to niche smells and what people are not really used to smelling, I would say Ganymede or this Stallion by Zamaya DNA is a niche smelling fragrance. And what's your thoughts on the Ganymede DNA? Do you rate it? Do you not? Have you not tried it yet? Let me know. Now to finish off the list, it was only right to talk about a fragrance that got so much hype last year in 2024, and it's one that I know for a fact a lot of people want to cop. This is from Louis Vuitton, and it is not Ombre Nomad, it is Imagination. And I'm sure you guys have tried this before, and when you smell it first, you're going to be like, it's nothing special, because that's exactly what I said. I was like, bro, I would never buy something like that. I'll just get light blue intense. But essentially it's a clean, crisp, soapy fragrance with some citrus in there as well. There is black tea or whatever in there, and I know loads of people say that, but it's more of just a clean, soapy citrus fragrance. But still, with it being nothing special, it will still get you compliments. And I know I said I'm going to forget Fragrance World for now, but I just want to touch on a fragrance. They have a dupe of Louis Vuitton Imagination called Essence de Blanc. It's in like a white bottle, weird box and all that stuff. And I got sent that fragrance like 8 or 9 months ago now, and I didn't even bother making a review on it just because I didn't rate it too much at the time, but that's because I didn't have a lot of experience with Imagination. So now I would say that fragrance is nice, but then I don't really see anybody speak about this, and I think this one's a little bit cheaper. So my favorite dupe in my collection of Louis Vuitton Imagination is from Zamaya again, and this is Mazaaj Infused. And I got this fragrance from DXB Perfumes, and when I first got it, I didn't know what it was a dupe of, so it was still in a box. I hadn't even tried it yet, but I just gave it to my brother, and I was like, yo, you hold that. And then a couple weeks later, we went out to dinner, and I'm smelling him, and I'm like, bruv, you did not cop Louis Vuitton Imagination, or did you somehow get your hands on mine? Because he would never spend money on LV Imagination, never. So he was like, no, it's the one you gave me. And I was thinking, bruv, I've given you loads, I've given you loads of fragrances, but I don't know which one it actually is. And then he took a picture of it when he got home and showed me, and I was like, bruv, it's Mazaaj Infused, and that smells crazy. And for me to mistaken this fragrance for the actual original Louis Vuitton Imagination, this is how I know this thing was good. And Imagination, for me, I'm getting like 10 plus hours and the projection's really good. With Mazaaj Infused, I think this is going to cost you under 30 quid. I think it's like 25, 27 quid. And you're going to get around 5 to 6 hours longevity, and the projection's decent. And I'm heading out tomorrow to try a bunch of new dupe or clone fragrances, so any that I find I'm going to pick up, and you're going to see a part 2 to this video. So if you've got to this point and you haven't already subscribed, make sure to do so. And if you don't already follow me on my other platforms, do that as well, because I post daily content over there. But the most important thing, I hope you guys all enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one, and as always, love for the love, my people.